I'm fashionably late to the hype train for a series that many have said is one of the best series ever made for the better part of 2 decades now, The Sopranos. I'd always heard about it growing up, but never actually watched it until recently. I'm on season 4. I haven't finished it yet, and I know the ending is very divisive, but I haven't seen it yet, so I don't have an opinion on that. But I want to give you my thoughts 4 seasons in, because I really do understand why people like this show this much. It definitely lives up to the hype. The Glaze makes a lot of sense, and it's a show I think is aged very well. It is still great even by today's standards. Now, of course, there are some things in there that maybe aren't as refined as a modern show would be. Things like some sitcom-y elements to it when it comes to like the action that's portrayed. But who really gives a shit, because it's not really a focus on its action. You're not watching The Sopranos to try and get like a fucking John Wick experience. So I don't really find that a big deal, but I know it's a complaint that some people have had, at least when I brought it up during streams. I don't think it's detrimental, and to a certain extent I actually find it charming when you have the, like Chrissy and Paulie running through the forest and they're shooting at a guy running away and they're going, like they're punching with their gun. Pretty much anytime they use guns in the show, they like punch with it. And when someone gets shot, it's like really dramatic. They're going, which is a classic. Like, it doesn't take me out of the experience. It doesn't ruin the immersion or anything. It's a product of its time in that regard, and I still think it is completely fine. And like, anytime there is like a character death or a shootout or a fight, it's very intense, and the stakes are always super high. So it's not a complaint I have, but I do understand some people feel differently on that. But one thing that I think nobody could ever deny is how incredible the performances and the writing in this show are. It is a masterclass in character writing. Holy shit. And I know I'm beating a bruised cock with this take, but Tony Soprano is one of the best characters in television history. He has easily cracked into my top 5 favorite characters across all media. Not only is the writing around him, and he is such like an interesting, complex character, but the performance from Jim Gandolfini is unbelievable. From the very first episode, I was hooked on Tony. He had me sucking farts out his butt. I was suckling. Like, it's just, I was eating out of the palm of his hands, because he does such a good job at playing a character that is beyond reprehensible. He does unforgivable actions. He is constantly cheating on his wife and then trying to spin it around as him being like a great husband and a great father, a great family man. He's also pretty terrible to his kids. The majority of the time Tony interacts with his kids, he usually ends up arguing with them, yelling at them, that kind of thing. And just the concept of him being the big boy of a crime family who is having panic attacks and going through depressive episodes and trying to tackle that and grasp it, trying to figure it out, but never really wanting to get to like the actual meat and potatoes of it because it makes him angry, is so interesting. The dynamic between him and his therapist, which is already like a really taboo thing that they establish in the show, like people view that as very weak in his world. It's just so well executed. The conversations between him and Dr. Melfi are just legitimately fascinating. The way that he views himself and the horrible things he does, like sometimes he'll finally get in there and start like tickling on the sack of like a big breakthrough, like an emotional breakthrough. Sometimes we even see him vulnerable, but then he always brings it back into like, but I have to do these things, and it's for the greater good, and I'm a great person for it. What I do for my family. And it's like, no, you don't do it for your family. What, you're doggy styling this woman at the waste management headquarters for the sake of your family? Like, come on. Like, and I think they do a great job of getting the audience to sometimes sympathize with what Tony's going through, but it's never a character you can fully root for. Because at the end of the day, he's a bad guy. Like, he is not a good guy. And he does things he does not have to do, and he does them just because he wants to. Now, to back it up, if you don't know what The Sopranos is about, it is about Tony Soprano first and foremost, but the entire crime world around him. He is conducting business. He's having to have people whacked. He's having to make, business decisions with people close to him, all while trying to still be a great husband and father. Though he's never really trying to be a good husband, almost every conversation so far between him and Carmela is arguing and being at each other's throats perpetually, and him cheating on Carmela. In fact, the only time he's ever not shouting and screaming at his wife is when he's already just fucked somebody else before going home to her. I could gush and grannies over so many different elements of this show. I think it is absolutely a masterpiece. I think The Sopranos is a must-watch. It is so fucking good. You don't find shows like this that often. And I feel bad that I waited so long to dive into it. But I'm happy that I'm watching it now. And I've been pacing myself. I haven't just like fully binged it all in like a week or two. I get to like really savor it. And I get to like talk on stream about it as if the show is still currently like premiering. I don't know. It's just a lot of fun going back and watching a show like this. And I plan on doing this for other shows that I've missed. But right now, I am just fucking hog wild with The Sopranos. The show doesn't pull any punches at all. It's unafraid of showing you some of the most reprehensible, vile, evil shit for these characters and still have you follow them. It's not a show that'll have you follow a character who's like morally in the gray, like maybe they dip their tootsies into some bad stuff. No. This show will just give you the whole kit and caboodle right away with all the really bad shit that a character will do, and you are there for that whole journey. And they don't just like kill the character off after they do something horrible where they get like some karmic justice or something. You just still follow that character as they're living their life, doing business, going about their days, interacting with their friends. Like, and all the while, you have seen them do something unforgivable. It does a great job of keeping you hooked. I also think it does a great job of building tension. Like, there are so many scenes so far in these first 4 seasons where I'm literally on the edge of my fucking seat wondering, how does this resolve? Because it is constantly boiling. There's always moving pieces. There's always deals going bad, or there's always relationships starting to sour, or tensions are starting to flare up, and then it reaches like this big crescendo, and you just have to wonder, how in the fuck is this ever going to be okay again in this world? And the way they write that, and the way they write themselves into a different spot from it, is just masterfully executed. But anyway, it's not all through the lens of Tony. We get to explore so much with so many different characters like Christopher, Paulie, everyone around Tony in that world and in his family we get to see a lot of. Except AJ. AJ is a character that I've criticized heavily thus far because as of now, he is a character that doesn't really get to do anything. And that's kind of the whole design of the character, which is just kind of a shame. So AJ is Tony's son, and his entire character arc is just getting ignored by everyone or getting sent away. Like, they literally just throw him out in every scene that he's in like fucking dirty garbage. And I've given this take a couple times on stream as I've been watching this, and people acknowledge that because it's the point of the character, which I also recognize, but even though it is the purpose of the character to demonstrate like how dysfunctional this family is and how AJ's not really being raised properly. No one's treating him with respect. No one's even really being a parent to AJ. Their whole solution is just, AJ, just go outside. AJ, just go over there where I can't see you. AJ, can you just, I don't know, like burrow your head underground or something so we stop looking at you for a little bit? Like, we don't want to think about you. And I get like that's the entire reason for this. Like, that's his character right now. And according to everyone, like, he does go through a character arc. Like, this builds to something with AJ in later seasons. But I'm 4 seasons deep, and it's all still the same behavior anytime AJ's on screen. Let me sum up every single fucking scene AJ is in. Hey, AJ, how was school? I don't know. What the fuck do you mean you don't know? Go to your room! Every scene ends, when AJ's on screen, with him being sent to his room by either Carmela or Tony. It happens in every fucking scene that he is in. Anytime AJ is there, I know we're 2 or 3 sentences away from him just being sent away. Like, Tony will be like, you want to go get some food? And AJ's like, well, I don't know. I kind of want to play Nintendo if you want to play. He's like, always with that fucking Nintendo. Go to your room, AJ. It's like every time, every scene, that is what happens. And I know that that is the point of the character because they are even self-aware of that. Because in one of the episodes, AJ is invited to go see the grandmother, and when they go visit, they are going to see Meadow at college, and when they pay Meadow that visit at college, that is Tony Soprano's daughter, AJ's sister, when they go there, a conversation happens between Carmela and Meadow right away, and Carmela just says, AJ, can you give us some space? And AJ says, this happens every time. Why do we even come? And then he closes the door behind him and leaves. And that's the end of his presence in like that whole fucking episode. I think he had like one other scene. But this is just the routine for AJ in the show. When they were going to visit the grandmother would say like a word to AJ and Carmela's like, AJ, can you give us some space? Like every time. Like I can only think of like a handful of scenes where AJ was there and he didn't immediately just get shooed away. And it just sucks. Again, I know that's the point, but when they do it every single time he's there, you kind of just stop caring about that character entirely because you have no reason to even, like, bother caring because you don't ever get to see anything from them. So it just feels kind of worthless, which I'm sure will change in later seasons. I know it's building to something, but for 4 seasons now, it just feels like he just has nothing to do when he's on screen. It feels like filler at this point. And it's just there to keep demonstrating how dysfunctional the family is, even though that point gets driven home time and time and time again. Like, it's very clear. Now, I think what they're trying to build to with his character is that through all of this neglect and terrible parenting of AJ, he starts lashing out and he's turning into a bad boy. And something Tony doesn't want him to be. Tony said multiple times he doesn't want AJ to get mixed up in the shit that he does. But through all of this, like, AJ, go to your room, which is basically the fucking catchphrase anytime AJ's there, he is now starting to do things in these more recent episodes where he's being really destructive. Like, he vandalized the school with some of his friends, and he got punished for it. But even when he has good things happen to him, like being the defensive captain of his football team, doesn't feel like he gets any kind of satisfaction from it, and it's probably because of the way that he's being raised, or rather, not being raised. They are literally just saying, go to your room, goodbye, and shutting him out. And I think that's where it's building, but we're not there yet. So right now, I just think AJ is the worst character in the show. I feel so bad for that, because it's not even AJ's fault. It's rough. Now, the only other complaint that I have, and it's not really a complaint, but it's something that it starts to get a little much, is how quickly arguments blow up. And I know that's by design. I get that. And I understand it in the context of Tony and his family around him and everyone in the underworld with Tony. It makes sense why anytime there's any kind of like slight or any type of, even note of disrespect in the air, things are going to escalate. I get that in that context, but pretty much every character in the show, even when they're not wrapped up in that shit, they still fucking explode like a bomb out of Mario, even if it's just like this tiniest little thing that sets them off. And I mean characters that aren't at all even associated with these things, like, for example, the therapist's son. Anytime he's around, he's like really on edge. He is just ready to fucking snap. So like he's at dinner with his mom, and his mom starts to get in like an argument with someone at the dinner table next to them because she was smoking. She's like, can you please put it out? And they start to like bicker back and forth. And then eventually the mother, she's going through a lot. And I understand why the therapist now is in this position where she's starting to get a little combative after everything she's gone through. And she eventually is told, like, this is unacceptable. And her son's like, fuck! Like, he gets really mad and he like storms out and he's all embarrassed. And like every time his son is interacting with his mom, he's like really mad and like pouty, and then he'll like start yelling sometimes over things that I don't think really warrant that kind of explosion. And another really good example of this is Artie's wife. So Artie's wife, Artie is a chef in the show, and he is somewhat mixed up in that world, but he's not like fully in it, but he is adjacent to it. His wife hates everything about that world. She doesn't like any of the people Artie associates with, and she is very much on the outside of it. Like, she knows them, she's like friendly with them, but doesn't approve of it. But she also just blows up, goes nuclear over really small things, and to me it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the character. Like, for example, Artie will be going to his wife, he'll be like, hey Charmaine, I was thinking about this new recipe for the restaurant, and she'll just be like, what the fuck, Artie? A new recipe? Are you out of your fucking mind? Are you out of your gourd? And it's like, whoa. Why are you reacting that way? It wasn't that big of a deal. It just feels like every character you meet in the show is ready to just fucking snap. Like, just go ballistic over anything, no matter how mundane. Which, it's not the biggest deal in the world. Like, I don't hate it or anything. Like, it's not even a big complaint, but it's something I wanted to mention, because sometimes I just feel like it probably doesn't, like, that didn't feel necessary at all. Like, anytime there's an argument with, like, the Sopranos or anyone in the underworld, that makes sense. Like, I get that entirely. But it's all the characters outside of that world. When they start doing it, I'm like, well, why are they doing that too? Like, it just feels like everyone in the world is fucking on edge. Again, it's not really a complaint because it does also help with the tension. It does help elevate things, even when you least expect it. And sometimes those like really small disagreements that do bubble up into something big play a huge role narratively later on. Everything in this show is constantly building on itself. There's never something that's just so self-contained to an episode that it never comes up again, at least not so far, not that I can think of. And I think that's really cool that everything will always be playing a role deeper, no matter how small that little argument may have seemed at the time. So I just think this show is incredible. I just wanted to just kind of glaze it here for a little bit now that I'm on season 4. I'm getting close to the end of Sopranos now. I know there's only a couple seasons left. And I am just so excited to keep watching it. It is extremely good. So, yeah, that's really about it. See ya.